Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Clue Crew podcast. My name is Katie, and I am here, as always, with my usual friends, Maddie.
Hello.
And Allison.
Hey.
And our special guest for this week is our good friend, Emily.
Hello.
You might also know her as Ned Nickerson's girlfriend, because why would you not want to be Ned Nickerson's girlfriend? So yeah, Secret of the Old Clock. Sorry, my mind blanked. So that's the game that we're talking about. Yeah, so what do you guys think?
I think this was a very bold choice to have it randomly back in time with no explanation whatsoever. It's a fun choice, but a bold choice.
Yeah.
Right.
I still like the explanation, though, that this whole game is just Nancy's imagination. That's pretty good.
Right.
I love that.
That is such a good headcanon. Very interesting, though, for a young child to come up with an intricate plotline about wills and legalities and stolen jewels.
Yeah.
Not to mention the whole historical aspect that she's got going on with all these struggling banks and President Weaver and
a deep dive into
Is
the Great
Nancy
Depression.
Is Nancy not a major nerd though? Like
That's
I feel like young Nancy would be nerd and do that.
The only other explanation I can come up with is the Drews are vampires theory, but we don't have to get into that today.
I'd accept that too.
Get the mental image of like tiny little Nancy playing with her Barbie dolls and her dad being like, "Oh, what are you doing, sweetie?" And she's like, "I'm reenacting the Great Depression of the 1930s."
So perfect. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. And Carson's just like, "Oh,
okay."
Carry on. Yeah, so this is one of the only games in the series that you can actually call Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think this is the first time, too.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I guess to be fair, you could call him a couple different times, like towards the end, like Alibi and Ashes, Silent Spy, and then this one. Are there any others? Or is that it?
I don't know.
I think that's it.
But compared to like the Silent Spy, he just sounds like such an old man in this game.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so apparent.
Like, he really felt like someone who was living in this time period.
He really did, though.
I kind of liked it, though. He really seemed like a very strong, like, dad from the 30s. I don't know. I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, definitely very appropriate for the time period. And his voice, even, like,
Mm-hmm.
he just sounded like a 1930s man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he felt to me a little like the typical, like, I don't know, like he was being kind of condescending to his daughter, like, you gotta do this. Don't forget, I'm gonna explain all of this simple stuff to you. I was just kind of like, okay.
I don't know. I thought that there was, like, maybe better Carson content in this game. I guess I just thought that there was more of it. But I was sort of surprised that the phone calls with Carson were sort of short. I still thought that they were okay. I thought it was funny when the two of them had a moment, and I forget exactly what they say, but she's like, "Oh, I think it's the person who always told me this, Dad."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny.
There's also, of course, the best Carson moment of all time in this game, which is, of course, when he is railroad surfing in, like, a mine cart.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Such an action shot. Him on the go.
Of course.
Living his little golf ball life.
One of my favorites.
I forgot which hole it was, and I was, like, trying to find it, and I did, but...
Yes, it's so good. It's the one with the airplane, I believe.
Yeah, and it's, like, the middle hole. Yeah.
It's such a weird animation choice. Like, the employees at Her Interactive went out of their way to animate this whole tunnel sequence.
Right.
They needed that action shot.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Like, maybe they were experimenting for like what was to come, but I don't know.
It
A
reminds
Carson
me.
mini game. A spin-off game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
Emily,
feel
that
like-
was really my only thought too. It was like, since Blue Moon Canyon was next, were they like testing the waters with the minecart
Yeah.
idea?
Oh, that would make sense. It's the same vibe as that weird like 3D display they have in Secret of of the Scarlet Hand, where there's that weird like display and it's just like that long video of the dude skateboarding. And you're just like, okay.
Dude,
Did absolutely
skateboarding.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I know that as a fandom, we like to do the literal jokes about
Mhm.
Nancy. And so I love the implication that somehow Nancy is like, I don't know, like cramming her head inside of this little rock
The
to
whole
watch the golf ball.
She's very invested in where that golf ball goes.
Yes.
Yeah, that golf mini game. It's
I don't know.
I actually
Sorry.
like it as a concept, but there are problems with the execution.
I
Yes.
feel like every time I play it, I have to play it more than once. Like, I don't think when I've gone onto the game, I've been able to just do it one time and then I've, made par.
Mm.
Yeah.
I got frustrated with it after like the 5th time, and so I was just saving it after every hole. I got par
Oh.
under, and
Oh.
if I messed up, I would load the game and like restart that hole over again.
It's genius.
That is actually.
Yeah, because I was like, I can't keep doing this over and over again.
I never thought about doing that.
Yeah. My other recommendation is because you can't go like a certain like you can't pull back far enough to make it go as fast.
Oh, yes.
You can go the other direction though and bounce it off walls.
True.
So like sometimes if I'm backed against the corner and like I literally can't hit it, I'll just like go the other way and then like play the game kind of in reverse.
hmm
But yeah, I
That makes
struggle with it a
sense.
lot.
And I feel like some of the obstacles are done incorrectly. Like, I don't know, I'll line up a shot and it'll be so perfect, and yet it still like hits something.
Mm.
Mm.
It's like, I don't know if it's the way that they have the blocks set up or if it's just the wonky angles of the whole thing. But I found that happening very frequently.
Yeah.
Where I was like so confident that it was gonna go in, and then it was just like, ha!
My worst one was like that hole with the sand trap in it that was a par 2.
Oh.
And for the life of me, like I was getting like 6 shots in the beginning and like I couldn't figure out how to beat it.
Oh no, is
Oh.
that the tiki one?
Yes.
I always did the rock shortcut.
See, I thought that existed, but then when I would hit it, I couldn't get it like lined up perfectly, and so then I just convinced myself it didn't exist and I was crazy.
No, it definitely exists because that's what I used each time. But I did usually have to waste 2 strokes on it because you're right. Like, that's one of those things that I was talking about where it feels like it blocks you from going in from the starting angle.
Yeah, like you have to line it up one way and then hit it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that made it easier for me for sure. The hardest one for me was the one with the freaking crab. Like, I swear, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think I ever got under like 5 or 6 strokes for that one, ever.
Yeah.
What about you, Emily?
I can't remember what hole it was, but the one where you have to like get it up that really tiny hill, I find that one frustrating because I always have to hit it once or twice to get it right at the bottom of that little hill.
See, that's the crab one. I hate it.
Crab one?
Yeah.
Okay, that one for sure.
Yeah, that would, I struggle so much.
But
But
also,
it's
I
fun.
did get in the sand this time, and I was like, dang it! But surprisingly, I got out of it pretty easily.
Nice.
I
That's
low-key
always-
also don't even like the town one at the end because it's hard to see, I feel like. That's just apropos of nothing but another complaint.
What do you mean hard to see?
Like, if your golf ball goes where the house is on the right-hand side, you can't see the golf ball and where it is.
Oh, okay.
So then you're just stuck shooting blind, and I would, like, inevitably end up there, and then I would just
Oh.
mess it up. And like I can't tell you how many times I finished it 1 over par, and it was like heartbreaking.
Oh
Oh,
no.
that's so frustrating.
That's
Yeah.
so sad.
Yeah, that crab one is my least favorite. I mean, I struggle with all of them, to be honest, but that one is especially hard for me.
I will say I do enjoy it, like as a mini game. It's just
Yeah.
by like the 3rd or 4th time I'm over it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I actually look forward to it on replays. Actually, I'm like, oh yay, mini golf. But then you can't make par, and you start like crying.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from there.
Yep.
Have you ever though after golf, like you get a good scorecard and then you put it in the old scorecard place?
That's
Wait,
so
what?
tragic.
You can put it in the old scorecard place, or you can put it like for the win prizes thing.
Oh
But
no.
have a good scorecard and you put it in the old ones. You go here, then you just don't get the prize.
Oh,
Oh no.
I've had that happen before, and I was devastated. I was like, "Are
oh
you?"
my god.
Oh, I think you've just unearthed memories from when I was younger and I did that. Oh god.
That's
I think I
tough.
blocked it out.
That's so tragic.
It really is though.
I always make sure to get the pony though, because I've always known that if you get the pony like early on in the game, you can make sure you give it to the person who needs the toys later on.
Mm-hmm.
Saves you a bit of money, you know. Very
Yep.
frugal.
If you really enjoy mini golf, you can just get 5 ponies and not have to buy anything. But who wants to do that?
That's true.
I mean, more power to you if you do. But I don't have the patience for it, personally. I mean, I think it's fun, but I don't think I could do it 5 times.
Yeah.
I don't think I could win 5 times. That's for sure. But isn't that part wild? The like, I call it the favor train, where it's just like, what a choice that was for her interactive. They're like, you know what's compelling gameplay? If you need to get something from somebody, but in order to get it, they tell you to get this thing from somebody else, but they can't get it for you unless you go and do this from the other place, and then they can't do it because they have to go to this place, and then he wants you to fish.
Oh, yeah, the wild goose chase.
It
Yeah,
was
that
such
was whack.
a bizarre collection of things.
I know. And it's funny.
Especially the fishing trip, too.
Yeah.
And like also when you give the fish to the dude who's just like so like excited to like take over and like wreck his brother's stamp collection.
Yeah.
That evil laugh that he does, like,
Yeah.
I'm so unsettled.
Like you didn't even catch it. You're just gonna be like, I'm taking your stamps, I got the fish.
Like,
It's like I'm gonna steal my brother's one source of happiness. Actually, 2 sources of happiness. He no longer knows he's the best fisher, and he also has 0 stamps.
to ruin his life.
Also, he just is like refusing to print raffle tickets for an orphanage on top of it.
Right.
Like,
Sorry. I gotta go fishing. That's more important.
Yeah, what a
Like-
butt.
I know,
Plus-
he's the worst.
like this work order was put in a while ago. Like, you agreed to do this.
Yeah.
He even says, he was like, oh, that was supposed to be done today. Well, I'm gonna leave anyways.
Right. Like, that's
Wrecking
not how
my
you...
brother's life, more important.
Yeah. I do not trust that man. Listening to Mrs. O'Shea's accent is something that I actively look forward to every single time I play this game. I'm just like, I love talking to her so much. So thank you, Amy Broomhall. I
Yeah.
really love your Irish accent.
She's amazing. I love the pine cone quote.
Wait,
It's
which
a pine
location?
cone.
Sorry.
The orphanage lady.
Oh, the orphan. Okay.
Of course it tastes bad, Clarence. It's a pine cone. I look forward to it so much.
Oh my gosh. The encounter that I thought was funny, I can't remember what the place is called now, but the woman who has the trivet, when she says something about Nancy's dress, and Nancy's just like, I like this dress. It's flouncy.
I know. It makes me want to see the dress.
Me too. I bet it has horses on it.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's a
Probably.
requirement.
Or even worse, it's like it's just got a giant print of a horse like at the bottom of the skirt that goes all the way around.
It's like a poodle skirt, but instead it's a horse.
Oh my god, yes.
She was ahead of her time.
Right.
Trendsetter.
Art project for anyone, I would like to request that we draw Nancy in various period outfits, but they're all ruined by the presence of a large horse.
Yes. I'm
Uh.
so here for it. And I'm just going to throw this out into the void. I don't expect a response because it's probably just a weird me thing. But I loved Miss Jakowski so much in this playthrough. I don't know why. She's like the lady at the telephone place with like the nasal voice. She's like, I gotta get my bridge, or not the bridge cards. She needed the raffle tickets. I don't know. Just she was really nice, and just her voice was so cool. I don't know. I liked her a lot.
Plus, she's super snoot nosy and is like listening on people's conversations. And you know what? I respect that. You gotta
Yeah, and Nancy's got to respect that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so since we're on the topic of townies, I get a kick out of all of the various literature and cultural references.
Yes, I saw that this
Yeah.
time. It never had clicked for me before.
I always noticed the Friday the 13th one. Like,
Yeah.
not as a child. When this came out, like in whatever grade I was in, I did not catch that reference, but I definitely did catch the fact that that guy's straight up a murderer.
Jason.
But then, and then replaying it was like, oh, Jason, and they're at a camp. Yeah, this is totally Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and I think Alice is the name of one of the characters in those movies too.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, I had not put that together.
I've actually never seen Friday the 13th because I'm not much of a horror movie person, but my parents are like obsessed with horror movies, so
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I do like horror movies.
I don't
They're
feel like I
classics.
had that interaction this time for that telegram.
go dry up, Jason. Like she's very
Yeah, so weird.
yeah, she's like
You know-
super super perky.
You know what one I always find weird? I forget where it is. Sorry, I'm bad with the building names, but where you go and there's the little girl and she's like, I will give it right to him. I won't double cross you or nothing. I'm like, so are you gonna double cross me? Like what?
That's Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm.
Oh,
Oh, isn't that like Shirley Temple?
Is it? I can't
Reference?
remember. I know it
I
was
feel
the
like
book
it
first.
might.
I feel like it's definitely a quote from something, but
Well,
Like
it's a
in the
character.
recess. Yeah, in the recess of my mind, like I remember, like when I played this in days of old, one of my friends was like a huge Shirley Temple fan, and I feel like I remember her saying like, "Oh, look, Shirley Temple."
Yes,
So maybe
it
I'm wrong.
was. Can confirm.
Okay.
It
Okay,
was
cool,
a
cool,
Shirley Temple thing. It was a 1903 children's novel, but it was adapted to the screen and then starred Shirley Temple.
Ah, that's why she sounded like that.
Yes. The other one that really stands out to me every time is the Little Shop of Horrors thing that's going on at the nursery.
Oh yeah,
I
I
love
never
that one.
got that.
Really? That's always been
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones. Because you deliver to Seymour, and I think
Oh my gosh.
Audrey is one of the people you talk to.
oh, it's a telegram for her, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's
He's
it.
not around.
Mm-hmm. And there's like ominous references to like that's a strange looking plant or something like
Yeah.
that.
Or didn't that plant just bite you? And he's like, I don't know. Is that what it looked like?
Yes.
Oh. I remember that.
I
And then
love
of course
that
you
one
have
so much.
like the Lowood Academy for Girls from Jane Eyre in
Mhm.
there,
Mm.
which I don't remember what the dialogue was for that, but that was one that I was like, oh yeah,
So many.
it's just so cool. Yeah.
And not a literature reference, but I'm also obsessed with sexy Dr. Bob and his innuendos. It gives me so much joy. I'm just like, they really did that. They really did that.
Dr. Bob is the one that really irritated me when I delivered his telegram because I was like, listen, I drove out on probably what was like a quarter of my gas tank to get here to deliver this telegram for you, and you're not going to tip me?
True.
Like, I don't even feel
Okay,
like I wasted more gas driving out here than I earned back.
yeah, no, I always got really annoyed that no one tipped, especially because a lot of the time I would find it hard to get money while I'm always spending it on gas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No
Yes.
one tipped you. And especially the observatory guy really bugs me because he says maybe you can come back and like look at my telescope or something. And I'm like, I want to do that. And I would come back and he wouldn't let me see anything. He wouldn't let me see the stars. I mean, I guess it was midday to be fair, but you know what? I still wanted him to keep that promise with me.
I just want to clarify. He calls it his equipment. She can come and take a better look at his equipment after dark.
You know what? That sketches me out, actually.
I just, it's so funny to me. I can't believe they put that in there. It kills me so much.
I was not even thinking about it like that. I was not thinking with the dirty mind that
I'm so sorry, Emily.
No, I remember catching that and being like, bruh, no.
It really does crack me up.
Yeah, but on the whole notion
That's
you were
a
saying,
big
Emily-
telescope.
Oh, Lord.
I'll let you come have a better look if you come back after dark. Like,
No, thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
But yeah, no, I agree. The gas thing is frustrating because it was like you were barely making more than you had to spend on gas.
I'm telling you,
Mhm.
it's an in-game pyramid scheme.
Oh.
Spend money on gas to deliver telegrams to make yourself money. It's just all like throwing the money around.
Yep.
Yeah.
This time around, I was experimenting with like, oh, what would happen if I just ran out of gas? And it's like if you don't have the money, you just have to play like a mini game at the gas station, which
Mhm.
is like with the screws or whatever. And although
Right.
the Zippy gas guy was really freaking creepy to me, and I was so scared of that's the hack. You don't want to pay for gas, you just run out and then play the mini game.
I have always stanned Zippy. I love him so much.
No, he seems like a serial killer.
See, I've always just thought he was like this wholesome, like, I picture me like a mama's boy. He just genuinely wants to go out here and like give like the most enthusiastic customer service and just do his part, you know?
I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm also a Zippy stan.
I think it's just like going through running out of gas, and then also I got a flat tire, and just the way he talks to you after those things happen, I'm just like, excuse me.
Interesting. That's fair because I haven't gotten a flat tire in the game in a while. Maybe I should like the next time I play. I think I'm going to intentionally trigger a flat tire so that I can get that bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say I had a very like bizarre thought process while playing this game with my telegram delivery, in which I was getting really pissed off about the lack of tips and like the fact that I had no money to like afford anything because it all kept going to gas.
Mm-hmm.
And then anytime anyone would offer me something, I'd be like, I don't want your rusty nail. Like, where is my money? I don't understand. And then, like, midway through, it hit me that this was the Great Depression and no one had any money anyway. And yet they were still trying to offer me some bit of service, whether it be a nail or some milk. And I was like, isn't that beautiful that they're offering me just something that they can, knowing that they can't give me money? And then I was like, what the heck, Maddie? This is a fictional game, and why are you so invested in this? And you should probably stop thinking like
Okay, but you're right. You're right.
It's just like this weird, like, strain that my brain. I was like, wow, this is just so sweet. These people, they're just out here trying to give me something. Isn't that so sweet? Like the humanity here in this small town. And then I was like, wait, hold on.
I love it. I really do. I'm here for those kinds of sentiments.
Here's a tip: buy low, sell high.
Yes.
Gee,
Yes.
thanks.
Old man Johnson. Gotta love it. Yeah, definitely some colorful characters in Titusville. Oh, you know another one that has always pissed me off is the library.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, excuse you. Yes, you're supposed to generally be quiet, but a library does not mean don't whisper, don't make any noise whatsoever. And I get that they were probably just playing it up for like a joke or something, but it was a bad joke and it made me mad. Anyway.
Katie also has enemies in the library.
I am Loki Ace from CW Nancy Drew, which y'all need to watch if you haven't watched it yet, because it's actually a great show. Anyway, I will always take any opportunity to advertise for that show.
You know what? Go for it. It's a good show. Everyone watch it.
It's fantastic. So interesting thing that I noticed about this game when I replayed it is just how the plot starts out. You enter the game and you don't even know what's happening. Like, you don't know why you're there. So it is very unique, and it's kind of cool in the sense that you are, being faced with the news of what's happening at the same time as Nancy is. But then it kind of steers into this weird direction where it's just like a major event happens, and then another major event happens, and then another event happens, or it's just like stuff is happening back to back to back, and you're like, wait, what is going on? Like, what is the mystery here? And it's just very different from any of the other games, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I feel like most of the games, the exposition comes from a Nancy letter. But, well, not most, like, pretty much all of them. But it's kind of cool to hear it, like, like you said, like, it's happening to Nancy at the same time it's happening to us. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, the intro narration was interesting too, like the year 1930, and it's like talking about the roadster, and it's just like it's kind of funny. It really puts you in the vibe, in the 1930s vibe for the game, though.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with y'all on that. Sorry,
it is kind of funny. I was just gonna say that it is kind of funny, Katie. I think you make a good point that the game isn't really sure where it wants to go with it a little bit. Like, you have, hey, I want to figure out what's happening to my friend. Then, hey, the house is on fire. Hey, the jewelry's been stolen. Also, this man was gonna give us money, and we think his will might be fake. Go forth. Yeah. Especially given that I feel like the will is the major focus on most of what you actually do in the game, and then to have your criminal be Jane, quote unquote, rather than focus on Richard Topham.
Yes,
it's like a very weird choice. Like, I'm like, did we care even about the jewelry at this point?
Yes, I had the exact same thought on this playthrough.
It's kind of just random at the end. I mean, it's, again, still a little weird that this woman, first off, intercepted this letter, which pretty much says nothing about her money at all. It's just, like, this really sad thing about, like, hey, my mom always said you were such a nice lady, and also she made you my guardian. She's dead now, and I would really love if you could come and take care of me and maybe tell me stories about my mother. And this woman caught this letter and was like, oh, hell yes, you know what I'm about to do? Go in and con her. And like, first off, what? Like, how did you know that she owned a bed and breakfast or that she had jewelry? Like, you literally know nothing about this woman. The internet doesn't exist really at this point. Like, you can't Google her. You just were like, sure, you know what? This letter went to my house instead. Why not dress up like her fake guardian and see just what kind of money she's got laying around? Also, the subtle hints to, like, make Emily seem insane is also high-key problematic. But but still, the game really doesn't focus on that. It's still more like, hey, let's go find the will. And, like, by the way, your friend might be going crazy. Just a little bit.
That's kind of really true.
That part with Emily sort of reminds me of Kerr, because there's like someone looking from the walls and like someone who's like seemed insane and like just with the and then she puts her like hand on her mouth. I don't know why, that all just gives me like very Kerr vibes.
True.
All of the close-ups of Emily in this game, like, they make me go wild. Like, why? What is
Yeah.
this choice? And when she, like, is running out to the fire trucks and she just does the glamour shot and looks at you over her shoulder for, like, a split second, it's so funny. I don't know. Maybe I have a weird sense of humor, but it kills
No,
me.
it is.
I mean, I find it funny. It's like, how often is Jane going behind the wall? Because, like, every time, not every time, but almost every time you go into Emily's room at one point in the game, it's like the picture is moved again. It's like, are you going in there every 5 minutes? I don't understand.
And I mean, the other thing is there's no narrative reason for her to be in the walls other than to just be freaking out Emily. So is it like once every hour, Jane's like, oh yeah, it's that time again. Let's crawl through the stairs and just like make some creepy noises.
Right? And very nice that Nancy never, like, walked in when she was doing that. Except for maybe when, like, after you finish the pies and she's gone. I wonder if that's what she's doing.
She was like, yep, it's that time of day.
But imagine if we just walked in and we saw Jane just, like, coming out of the seat and was just like,
Just making ghost noises, pounded on the wall, trying to knock the picture frame a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, what's the implication of how she got the picture frame to move? Like, are we supposed to think that she just, like, pushed her little fingers through the hole and, like, tilted the painting with her fingers?
Just a little.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's very true. There's not much motive for why she would be trying to make Emily go crazy, unless, like, was that talked about in the game? And
yeah, they tell you at the end that she was trying to kind of make her feel like she was totally incapable of running the inn.
Oh, that's
because
right.
if she sold it, they would get half of it.
That's right.
Yeah. But what a choice. Like,
yeah, I mean, no, go ahead.
No, I just like the set of circumstances for Jane to just like get there and then decide that like this is what she should be doing with her life.
Yeah.
I want that plot.
Right. Like, it does seem so completely random. Like, how much of this did she really know about when she made the decision to do this? I mean, obviously from the letter, like, she knew the basis of the situation, but, like...
I mean, not even. That letter is just this really sad, depressing thing where you're like, wow, I want to give this girl a hug. And she was like, nah, that's not the move. You know what is? Let's see if we can rob her blind.
And then make her think she's crazy. She even puts one of the necklaces back in Emily's hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I think, and then she's like, I think you're going insane.
Yeah, she's very, I guess this is an interesting psychological analysis or some, it's really not, just an observation, but she tends to be very, like, self-deprecating in the game. And so I'm wondering where that comes from. Like, is that just part of her...
Do you mean Jane?
Yeah, Jane. Or Marion.
I always took it as, like, her cover-up. Like, one is, like, part of it is she wants to seem incapable, so that way there's no reason for them to be able to run the inn. Because if she can't help it, and Emily is just, like, a kid who also can't deal with the situation, then there's no reason for them to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was supposed to kind of help
out.
Very true.
I feel like during replays, I've noticed that Jane has, like, multiple red flags too that like I didn't notice the first time, but like when I played the game with my mom one time, she when she was like, oh, I can't remember Gloria's middle name, my mom was like, it's her, she's the villain.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit of a red flag if they were like so close, you know. And the other red flag was that she used to be a dressmaker and she can't sew at all now, like at all, like what?
Yep, that was the one. I was actually
showing you up.
Yep. But that's actually the next point talking point that I wanted to bring up was that truly I feel like was her biggest dead giveaway. Like, oh no, I haven't sewed a stitch in years. I can't help at all. I don't know how to do that. Like, your cover is a former dressmaker. Like, even if you haven't sewn in a long time, like, you're still going to know the basics, and you can at least, like, show Nancy how to get started. But she was just like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
Relatedly, I love when she hands you the box of her sewing stuff and says, "I think there's needle in there somewhere." As if it's hidden and not the huge ass thing taking up most of the space.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
You're really gonna have to look around there, Nancy. I don't know where it is.
I see it. Interesting too how like on the nose it is that when you're talking to Emily like for the first or second time or whatever, she's like, "Oh yeah, Josiah used to live in the house up the road. It and the inn was both built by the same pair of brothers." You're just like, okay. And then it's like, obviously it comes into play when you find out that they're connected with the secret passageway, but that's just another one of those things that I think is so funny because like it gets casually referenced so early on and you're just it feels so out of place, you know? You're just like, okay. Thanks for the info.
Yeah.
I still want to know how she knows all these things. Like, where is she getting this intel about the secret passageway? Like,
oh, Jane, you mean? Or
yeah, I'm just so
what's her name?
fascinated.
Yeah, it feels like she would have had to have like been snooping around that inn for like a very long time.
Yeah, like she's
She'll
just
have
been
all the
subtly
information.
watching it
Yeah.
for
Oh,
years.
that's creepy.
I mean, I don't feel like there's any other reasonable explanation because that letter says no mention of the inn nor the jewelry.
Yeah.
Very true. I wonder if she like stalked Gloria when she like went on a trip back to the inn or something.
I don't know.
Like followed her or whatever. Staked it out. I just feel like that's the only way for her plan to make sense, is if it's been something that she's been planning to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
I don't
She was
know.
like, one day she will die, and it will be my time to shine.
Right.
Which is like so incredibly cruel. Like the whole thing. Like
Yes.
she goes and she just freaking sets a fire in the kitchen. She just does not care at all.
I know.
What was she doing before this? Like, what was her day job that she was like, nah, you know what? I'm done with this.
Yeah, what was it that they said in the letter? Did they mention where they were working?
I don't remember, but I do remember. Is she Marion Aborn? Because that's who was
Yes.
mentioned. That's under Emily. Yeah, and it's like she's so mean. I saw her looking through my purse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so the imposter is Marion. So then, see, maybe that
Right.
does kind of imply that she was, like, already just a snoopy person, and she just
Okay.
maybe, like, was looking through Gloria's things, and maybe Jane's, too, at that point. No, because
That would make
Jane
sense.
wasn't there.
So if she kind of like knew about this inn beforehand and then was like, you know what? Yeah. Sounds good.
She's like, oh, she was a seamstress, though, and I don't know how to sew. What are the odds?
Yeah, no one's gonna ask you about that.
I'll just say I'm rusty.
Yeah. I love that Nancy just like shows her up and is like, you know what? I'll give it a shot.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because I've never been able to make that look in any way halfway decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's like, look at my beautiful dress. I did it all myself. It looks janky and ugly, and you give it to the guy. Here you go.
I don't like that puzzle, and also like I really have sewn before. Like you don't just keep the fabric that one way. Like you turn the fabric. What are you doing?
I actually enjoy the puzzle though. Yeah, I find it kind of like weirdly. Like I like the fact that it's kind of just quick and short, and it's fast paced. You know, like it's constantly moving for the most part.
Yeah. I used to have a lot of trouble with it though because it was
Me
just
too.
like so fast, and I was just like, slow down.
Yeah, I remember I hated it as a kid because I had to do it like 8 times over. But
Yeah.
I've gotten it on the first try the last few times that I played this game, so I guess I've gotten better at sewing. I've never
makes-
sewn in real life though.
Mm.
It makes me laugh how like hard they were trying to throw in old timey things. They were like sewing. That's a thing that they did back in those days.
God.
Telegrams, record players, and then like the slang that they're really trying to force.
You're
like
right.
Nancy, you're
Yeah.
the bee's knees.
Peachy keen.
Speaking
Yeah.
of cars, In the beginning of the game, Nancy's like, "Is that Josiah's car?" Later on, whose car was that? Do we know?
It was Jim Archer.
Or sorry, Jim is what I meant. Josiah's dead.
Yeah, so that was when you find out that like Jim Archer was begging Richard Topham for money, and so that was his car because he was visiting Topham. But I guess he like parked in front of the inn so that it would be less like, suspicious or whatever. I gotta say, since we were talking about like puzzles and stuff like that in the game, I love the pie puzzle for no reason other than I love looking at the pies.
Me too.
Like, it sounds so weird. I just find them so visually appealing for some reason.
They really are.
I just like looking at them.
They did make me crave pies. I was like, I want a pie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me crave not just pie, but like the chocolate, whatever, it's like chocolate pudding pie or whatever, which I never really eat in any way. But for whatever reason, looking at those pies, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Yes. Dude, we have this soul food restaurant like nearby where I live, and they do like homemade chocolate cream pie, and it is the best thing that I've ever had. It's so good.
That sounds amazing.
That does sound good.
But my favorite pie for some reason has always been cherry, and I don't know why. And it's so difficult to find good cherry pie anymore. I can never find it anywhere. But I especially like their cherry pie in this game because there's like that big like spot where the cherry goop is like coming out.
They do look really appetizing.
They do. Definitely makes me want some pies. But yeah, back to the plot thing. Maddie, you make a very interesting point because it is literally something that I thought about on this playthrough. How you would think that the most pressing mystery... Well, I guess they do kind of run together. Because I was thinking you'd think the most pressing thing would be, making sure that Emily is okay and getting her jewels back. But then it does still connect with needing to find Josiah's will, because if you find the will... I don't know. They don't really connect, though.
They're not related, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, the bottom line is money troubles.
Right.
And I mean, they're connected in that way. But, like, other than that, the two plots don't, like, align at all.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And so it is such an odd choice that, I literally had this thought. Obviously, Marion Aborn has, like, she did the thing. She did, like, the super, super hella sketchy thing, and she needed to be caught. But why are we not talking about the fact that Richard Topham, like, literally forged a fake will and Josiah's signature and, like, all of this super illegal stuff? Like, we're just gonna gloss over it.
Like, she's definitely the evil person, but at the same time, you're like, whoa. What?
Yeah. I mean, that's still a big deal that he did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also love that the
One
game,
thing that
too... Oh, go ahead, Emily.
Sorry, I was just gonna say one thing that I thought was weird was that they were like, oh, he left everything to Topham, but then Jim Archer was like, oh, that typewriter was given to me, and I'm like, did Topham really like say everything goes to me, but the typewriter, yeah, that can go to Jim Archer.
You're right, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, why would he do that? Like, was he trying to seem not suspicious? Because that makes it seem weirder, honestly, to just give him a typewriter.
Yeah, I wonder, like, is there any reason that, like, Richard Topham would have, like, given the typewriter to Jim Archer? Was that a thing?
On his deathbed, he's telling Richard Topham, don't forget to give my typewriter to Jim Archer, and it freaks him out so much that he's like, I'm gonna steal everything, but I feel like it'd be too far to ignore the man's dying wish.
Yeah.
Maddie. Oh my god.
I have very mixed feelings on Josiah as a character, because part of me is like, oh, like, that's so fun that he did all these puzzles and stuff like that, but it's also kind of cruel because, like, he hid away his will and, like, was always like, oh, time will tell, but then he passed away and, like, left everyone not able to find it. Like, I don't know, it just seems a little weird to me. Like, is that cruel? I don't know.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It is kind of a crappy thing to like promise your loved ones so much from your will and then like hide it away so well that nobody can find it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Especially
like, is there a
in a
purpose for
will.
that?
At the same time, though, I could kind of see just like given the time period and things, like if someone has easy access to it, it wouldn't be too hard for them to like destroy it and then make a fake one in their favor.
okay.
So I'm like, if he knew that Richard Topham was like chilling out his house all the time, he's like, I can't keep this in like a reasonable location.
That's true. I feel like under normal circumstances it would be cruel because like it's a will. It's not like it's a buried treasure. Like it's a will.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if there was already like suspicion that someone could like potentially steal it or forge it or whatever, then it makes a little bit more sense.
Right.
I don't know, maybe it's because, he has, like, a great sum of money or something like that, which I think is implied. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he
So
was
maybe-
rich. I think they established that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they also make a point to say that like people were always hanging out with him in like hopes that they would get some money from him.
Okay, right.
Yeah, he wasn't like rich like he told all his radio buddies, but but he was like pretty well off.
Yeah.
From the sound of it. Speaking of the
Yeah.
radio people, out of his radio buddies, we have Pyramus, who is the grumpy one.
Mm-hmm.
We have Thisbe, who is just Joy Trent in the 1930s. We have Flute, whom I stan.
He was the one that was, like, the chill one. Like, he was just, like...
Yeah,
I don't-
he was like,
Okay, yeah. That was the one that I liked out of the three.
yeah, I like Flute. I feel like he's a cool dude. But
I love
Yeah,
how Nancy just annihilates Pyramus, who's like given Puck crap for not calling him. Oh no, they used to be friends, but I guess not. And Nancy just like shuts him down with, well, he's dead now, so
yes.
probably why.
Honestly, though.
Well, the other thing about Josiah's character was, like, he was, like, a drag queen ahead of his time. Have we talked about this? Like, how
I know,
Ryan-
right?
Like, he used to just dress up as, like, women, and he just, like, pretend to be them when he did that with Jim Archer. You know what? Go off. Like,
And Emily talks. Yeah, and Emily says something about him showing up as dressed as like her aunt or something at her birthday
Mhm.
party
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And his favorite book was the one about makeup.
Oh yeah,
hmm.
He was ahead of his time, my dudes.
he really was.
He
Yes.
was, yeah.
I love him.
Best life. Honestly, yeah. Like I'm all for eccentric dude who just is out with his hobbies.
Yeah. You know what? I'm feeling for him.
Yeah. Super.
And he
super-
legitimately kind of did want to take care of the people that were nice to him with his money.
Yeah, he did. And his passion for theater was also a very interesting, like, I wouldn't say subplot. It didn't get a ton of focus, but it's just, it's an interesting thing because we haven't had a lot of theater nerd characters in the games.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute that I think it's Topham who was like, it only, ran like 2 times or something like that, but he didn't care. He loved that play, and I just thought that was really cute.
Yes.
And he just like,
Mhm.
he just liked playing the character. He just liked being in the play.
Yes,
He just really was out here living life and enjoying it.
he really was.
Honestly.
What a great way to live.
What a guy. Even like after he died and the will couldn't be found and they thought that he didn't leave them the money or whatever. Emily was talking about how, they were so upset, but yet she couldn't be mad because he was just so great while he was alive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that really says something about his character to leave that kind of
Mhm.
impression that even when, somebody was under the impression that he basically betrayed them and lied to them, like, they were still just like, they weren't super mad about it. I don't know. That might be an unrealistic response, but I don't know. It's fictional, so I like it. And I think it speaks volumes.
I mean, plus, if you are friends with somebody, like, that friendship doesn't kind of go away just because he doesn't give you.
Right. Yeah, and that's true too, because it's not really a personal matter. It's more of just like, he was, he made his choice, and it wasn't what
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be, but that doesn't mean that he was a bad guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Stan Josiah for clear skin. Something that I noticed this time around that I really loved was the way that somebody wrote Josiah's journal entries, like in the little journal that's inside the elephant thing. That's
Oh, yeah.
just all of his random notes about like the puzzles that he set up and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
The Lest I Forget book.
yes, the Lest I Forget book, correct. Just whoever wrote that book, like whoever was in charge of doing that, did such a fantastic job, because I feel like all of the clue levers and journal levers in this series, it's just everything is so like on the nose, but his notes were actually like genuinely vague and confusing, and it was just he would write like 1 to 2 word reminders almost, rather than doing some ridiculous in-depth explanation of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was more like vague words and references to things, which I feel
I feel
like
True.
is realistic, because if you were writing
Yeah.
yourself a reminder journal like that, then you're just going to be vague with it. You're not going to go into super detail.
Totally realistic. Like, I do that all the time. I pull up my notes app and I'll just type something random to remember for later. And sometimes I'll look at my notes app and I'll just see like a bunch of numbers and I'm like, what does that mean? So like
Right.
even I'll forget. I also really liked the references to the Haunted Carousel. I thought that was kind of the cool addition, because you see the horse and then as well as his notes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
like
very
that.
true. Freaking Yuri, the cat. I just...
Oh, gosh.
We have to give him a shout out.
Oh, Yuri.
He's an interesting cat. He's a little scary looking.
Yeah. Little squishy face.
The thing is, he's a cat, so I want to say I love him, but he looks so janky. Like, it's terrible.
He really does.
Plus, all he kind of does is be upset that he doesn't have his mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a cat.
He is a cat.
I mean, in his defense, he also does have to put up with Topham, so,
Yeah.
Fair. My
Roger
face would look like that too.
literally depiction of me trying to do the psychic whatever puzzle.
Right.
Oh my gosh, the fact that Nancy gives you such a big hint too. She's like, oh my gosh, every time he says a certain sentence, it's with a certain card. I'm like, Nancy, let us solve it.
I get it.
Not even that too, but like even with that hint, I feel like it's so difficult because you really got to be writing down every single one. And if you don't get it right the first time, like you're just screwed. You got to keep trying until you figure out which exact phrase goes with.
I don't even write it down though. Like, I just try to remember. I'm like, okay, concentrating is this one, and then thinking is the one that sort of looks like a T, and I was like just trying to remember it based on their pictures.
It's interesting because when I played, he only ever cycled between the same 3 sentences. So,
really?
Really?
I did it on like the second time. I didn't even get Nancy's clue because I don't know why. Like there were like 2 different phrases that I never even heard once. Like he just kept asking the same ones.
The full range of them, and they were not consistent. It took me way too long.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I had those playthroughs in the past.
But I was over it by the end. I was like, okay, no thank you.
I just don't like talking to Topham in general in this game. He's like, first of all, you're not smart, so get out. And I'm like, that's a little rude, actually.
Yeah, honestly, like, why would you enjoy talking to Topham?
Yeah, and also, he says, that fire was just as devastating for me because I used to leave flyers on the cars there.
Right?
No, you're wrong.
Oh, that made me so mad.
Also, stop using this other business for your entrepreneurial endeavors.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, he's just like using Josiah's house for his business now. It's like, you didn't have somewhere to do it before? I don't know.
Right,
It's a little
like,
weird, but
where were
How
you
does he
living?
even have clients?
Yeah, I don't know. And it also makes me I'm like, Josiah, why were you letting this like guy stay in your house and like teach you this? Like, I don't know.
Ugh. Did you guys see that, like, the making of magazine article that they did for Secret of the Old Clock?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it sounds
Right.
vaguely familiar.
It floated around on Tumblr not too long ago, but it was like this magazine article, and they were doing like, this is how you make a video game, and had like a lot of behind the scenes stuff from when they were making Secret of the Old Clock.
Mm.
And I just remember being so shook that literally like 2 different people involved in the article named Topham as their favorite character in the game.
Ha!
Oh.
And I was just like, who are you? Like, are you okay? I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of characters in this game.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
true.
I have a favorite character in this game because
Yeah.
like they're not likable.
Agreed.
They're not.
Agreed.
Like,
None
I
of
guess
them really
Josiah.
look great.
I guess we're standing Josiah today.
True.
Correct. I mean, literally, I would say Josiah would be my favorite, but he's dead.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a good point because really all the characters like are just really unlikable. Like Jane
just-
is obviously like Jane / not Jane. And like Emily is okay, but like she's really kind of a bland character. But then like you have Topham and you have Jim, and they're just not likable guys. Like
Yeah.
I feel like everyone is just sad, and then Topham is like just absolutely like out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like from that perspective, like I think he is the most interesting. Everyone else I kind of just feel
Mm.
bad for.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely feel bad for Emily and Jim for sure.
Yeah.
But like I'm still not like you guys are amazing characters. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, you guys are alright. Which sucks too because like Emily is kind of bland, but there's only 2 people in the series who have my name, and that's one of them. And she's not great.
I don't mind Emily. I think sometimes she can be kind of like whiny, like unnecessarily whiny. There's a difference. Like she's going through a lot. I totally understand that, but I don't know. Sometimes her attitude or the way that she talks to Nancy.
Yeah, when she wants her out of the house is weird. But I mean, admittedly,
Yeah.
she's been gaslit into believing that she's like absolutely insane.
Oh
at
yeah.
this
Yeah.
point.
No, 100%. Like I completely sympathize with her in that way.
Well,
So that's why I said
And I can see
Me-
kind of like if she's been convinced that she's like crazy and Nancy's telling her otherwise, it like could be kind of hard to like have the whiplash from Jane, not Jane, to Nancy.
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
to me, one of the weirdest parts about Emily's character is that she's like, Nancy, you're one of the nicest people I know. And I'm kind of like, okay, first of all, you need to get out more. And second of all, she's like, I want to give you my jewelry to put in Carson's safe. Like, she doesn't know anyone else with a safe. I'm like, why Nancy? It seems kind
Right.
of weird to me. Like, how well do they even know each other?
Especially in that time frame, I feel like having a safe would be pretty commonplace.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, why don't they have a safe? I don't know.
And it's like she only knows her through like I think they say Helen Corning is their mutual friend. But so she
Mhm.
only knows Nancy by extension through Helen Corning. So I'm just like, what?
I mean, again, her next of kin is this woman that she's literally never met.
Yeah.
So she's not having
Gotta
does
get
not
out
like
more.
going for her.
Yeah. I mean, I don't dislike her. She rubs me the wrong way for some like unexplained reason, but
Yeah.
I understand why she's going through a lot, and I feel bad for her because of
Yeah.
what she's going through. Especially she's like
Yeah.
17. Like that's so much.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. She's not like a fun character. Like, I'm not like, yes, time to talk to Emily now. You're just kind of like, oh, she's gonna whine at me again. Like, I feel sorry for you, but also,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
I guess I could see from the perspective of Topham being your favorite character if you're just like, because yeah, like you said, everybody else is just kind of bland.
they're all just hoping Hoover is gonna help them through this rough patch. Things are gonna get better. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
I love that that's the game's resolution. Is like they find the will and they're like, oh, Jim Archer and Emily are set for life, but everyone else in this small town is gonna be fucked because the depression is gonna wreck the rest of them.
Oh no.
But those two, set. Other ones, jail. Happy ending.
Oh no. Well, you know, you gotta work with the historical context that you got
Yes.
going.
Oh.
I also, like, I don't know if this was a separate talking point or if it was just something that we've already covered, but I want all the listeners to know that Maddie made a note that says Josiah Crowley, the first internet troll.
Listen, I just love the idea that this man was like on his little radio back before the internet was a thing, pretending to have like an internet version of himself, where he's like, yeah, I'm a cool Hollywood actor and I have tons of money and I drive a sports car, and like was just invented this whole other persona. And like,
Catfishing.
yeah, yes, exactly. That's the word I
Oh
was
my
looking
gosh.
for. He was catfishing these random strangers through like the
Amazing.
radio.
That's very true.
You're actually right. Yeah. He was the first internet troll.
I love it.
See, the man only gets more iconic.
One of the most confusing things in this game to me is that when they've opened, like, I think Clara Pickford's safe, that he/she has a picture of Jane and I can't think of her name, Jane and Gloria. Like, why is that there? In the safe.
That's a great question. Like, how is that something that needs to be in a safe?
I was just like trying to mull over all the reasons, and I was like, nothing. No, there's no good reason.
Oh my goodness.
That's a great point.
Like, it's very plot convenient that was true.
Yeah, there's literally no reason for that to exist there. I just always get distracted by the fact that we're legitimately supposed to believe, like, right off the bat from that picture, that the Emily we've been talking to is not the real Emily.
Jane?
You
Jane.
mean Jane?
Jane, yes, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because like a totally
yeah.
different picture than like what they look like in the game, like than the in-game characters look like. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of why they have Nancy, like, talk about it or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's funny because when I played this game for the first time and I was like, how old was I? Like 10 or 11 or something? Like, when Nancy first made that comment about, like, oh, this doesn't look like Jane, my first thought at age 10 was, oh, so who's the person in the photo if it's not Jane? Like my child brain couldn't comprehend that the one that I've been talking to was the fake.
Mhm.
Honestly, though, makes sense. Like, my brain would go there too.
I just kind of thought that, like, she clearly had aged and, like, it had affected her
Mhm.
appearance.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's what happens, Nancy. People get older. They don't retain their youthful
We should
glow
talk about-
forever.
Yeah. We should talk about that ending though. Like the whole chase scene is so iconic. I don't know.
Landon in the pie truck.
Yeah, it's so random too. Like, she was just trying to speed out of there and she just kind of smashed into it, I guess. I don't really know.
I guess, because, you know, Nancy's like, oh, I better cut her off. And it's like, technically, like, we go in the opposite direction, but the crash has nothing to do with us. Like, I feel like that would have happened if we didn't cut her off. So I don't really understand.
Also, why is she going out in such a hurry? Like, I guess at the end that she's like, oh, the jig's been up, and I guess I should escape with the jewels. But it's such like a weird. I don't know. Like you've gotten this far.
Yeah, it is sort of weird. She doesn't even try to convince Nancy. She's not even like, no, that's not true. She's just like, okay, bye.
Oh, crap, you found me out. All right, peace.
Later, losers.
Yeah. That sequence too, where what does she say? And then she like pulls the gear pedal, like the gear shift.
It was
back,
nice
so-
knowing you, sister.
Yeah. You're like, okay, pop off, I guess.
Right. Can we also just talk about that freaking polka dot dress that she wears? Like,
Yeah.
I
No style.
Yeah, I need to address how terrible it is. Like, it doesn't even look like something that would have been a stylish little polka dot cute dress in the 30s. It just looks like it looks terrible.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of good like 30s clothing, I feel like. Even,
It's
like
such a
Jane's
shame.
outfit looks like a nightgown or something.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
Yeah.
That's a good point because Emily's like wearing a nightie the entire time.
Yeah.
Emily is just not in her right mind. She's going through some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I guess Jane also kind of is. Jane, not Jane. Just some, psychological warfare stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't much
No
room for
kidding.
fashion.
Right. Did you guys play on junior or senior?
I always play junior.
I always played
Regardless.
most of the time I played junior
Look
anyway.
at this.
Okay.
I always play senior, so I was on.
Okay, because I was on junior, and I just wanted to say that at least on junior level, I love the freaking Bard Bounce game because I was able to just look at it and be like, I made all my moves in one go, and it was done.
Nice.
The way that they have it set up, it's like you literally only have to move each piece one time, and then they're already in place. Like, it was so good.
Each piece one time, really?
Like, you just move them to one secondary location, and then they're like prepped to go.
Secondary location. Oh my gosh, that's reminding me of John. Is it John Mulaney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't
Yes.
taking me to no second location.
But I like that game. I think it might have taken me a couple more than 2, but still, I did it. I did it fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I always enjoy those types for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was more setup, I feel like, in senior, but I also could have just mixed it up in the beginning, but I definitely had to do like quite a few things to get things positioned.
Mm-hmm.
It still wasn't too bad though.
You know, I didn't try not doing it, but I was wondering if you didn't play the game or if you didn't get the pony, does the shed even work?
That's very.
It doesn't if
interesting.
you haven't gotten Gloria's middle name. I know that for a
Oh,
fact
Right.
okay.
because I
Interesting.
had it set without asking about it, and Nancy even when I put it in, she goes, "I still don't know what Gloria's middle name is." And so, like, even though the
Oh,
shed was set, you had to actually go back and complete the dialogue.
Right.
interesting.
So I wonder if it does that with the others too. Experiment for anybody who wants to do it.
I know.
I already uninstalled the game, sadly.
Do you only install it to play it?
It depends on the game. If it's one that I feel like I'm gonna like really want to replay again, then I'll keep it installed. But otherwise,
But not clock.
no. I'm
But yeah.
pretty neutral on this game. I love the vibes. I was high key
Yeah.
vibing with this game.
It has really good music too. Like it's really
Yes.
good relaxing music to listen to if you're like studying or something. Although if you are just listening to the playlist and all of a sudden one of like the scary one comes on, it's a little jarring, but otherwise it's pretty good.
Yeah, this is another one that I love the music every game.
Yeah.
But it's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is definitely one of the like the lower half games for me,
Yeah.
Me too.
but it is very relaxing. Like it's a very chill game.
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
true. I mean,
It's
everyone's like very sad, but at the same time, you can just kind of go through it and you're not really stressing and you're just kind of breezing through it.
Yeah, because the vibes are lighthearted.
Yeah.
It just feels very like wistful for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cute little game. It's got good vibes. It's got happy music. But then, in addition to the happy music, for some reason, I say this all the time, I'm obsessed with this one music track called Tension. And it is just so freaking cool to me, and I can't explain why.
No, that one's good.
It usually plays in like the attic, I think, of the shed, but sometimes it'll be in the passageways too.
Mm.
It's like
I always get that one in the passage.
it's the one that goes the and then it's got like the funky horns and stuff. It's so weird. It is fantastic.
That plus like the combo when you're in the passageway too, and Nancy's like, I think someone's following me. Always like gives me chills.
She legit like jump scared me a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've said
It
in the
definitely-
past, like, I'm sorry.
No, it's definitely spooky is all I was gonna say.
Yeah, like, I've said in the past that I'm somebody who, like, speed clicks through everything, and so I'm always, like, zooming down those passageways, but every once in a while, like, she'll stop me to be like, and every time she did, I was like, ah! So, yeah. Yeah, definitely still towards the bottom of my list, though. It's just, it's not because you're bad, it's just because your competition's so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a relaxing game. When you want to hang out, play mini golf, and deliver telegrams, talk is the game for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, it's kind of lower for me because I'm like a character person. Like, I'll be like, ooh, I want to play this game because I want to play Dead because I really like Ryan Kilpatrick. But for this one, I'm like, there's no one I really want to see.
Yeah, no character appeal here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this game has some. I don't know. When I was playing it this last time, I actually kept getting the feeling I was like, this doesn't even really feel like a Nancy Drew game to me in some ways. And I don't know. I'm probably the only person who feels that way. But I don't know what it was about it. It just, the vibe felt completely different to me.
Yeah, it definitely is a different vibe. I will say though, I feel like it's kind of nostalgic, especially for people who read the books. Because it feels like very classic Nancy to me, like the dress, the roadster, like
Yeah.
quaint town, this kind of like small mystery that's not like a super big mystery. It's just really low key.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes me back to those kind of things. In which case, like I feel like it is very Nancy Drew vibe, but it's just not the same Nancy Drew that you're used to within the game context.
Maybe so. It felt like even just the gameplay of it didn't really fit the vibe or the flow of the other games in the series.
I honestly feel like it's sort of, I mean, probably for good reason, that it sort of reminds me of Train because, it's right before it. And to me, it's like the prep for that game, just some of the animation, and then just the way that you're like putting all these things into one machine. I don't really know if that makes sense, but how in Train, you have to get all these different things. You have to get all the gems. You have to get the telescope, all these things. And for this, it's like you have to do all these things for the end machine. You have to get all the codes and like translate the passages and everything like that. And to me, I don't know, they kind of felt similar in that way. I mean, I know that's probably because they came after each other, but I see it really related to that one.
But that makes sense.
But yeah, it still feels a little bit disjointed or separated kind of from the other games, just because of some of the vibes it gives off, I guess, and just being in the 30s is also just a little jarring and everything. And I would say no cell phone, but she doesn't have a cell phone in several of them, but
Yeah, especially the earlier games, you didn't always have a phone.
And there wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of talking on the phone, honestly. Like sometimes the games have a lot of phone content, but this one really was not big on that.
Right. In fact, there really isn't any necessary phone contact, is there? Except for like the first call with Carson.
Yeah,
I think that's
about
it.
Whereas in some, like in Dead, you have to call Deirdre multiple times. You have to talk to her about the case, which I mean, I kind of like that aspect of it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I liked it because it was Deirdre I was talking to.
Yeah.
And she's an awesome character, but I'm normally not a big fan of phone interaction necessarily. Like, I don't necessarily hate it either. I think it just depends on who the contact is.
Yeah.
And, like, what the conversation is.
I mean, phone calls are the only way I get my Ned content, so obviously I'm a fan. This game has 0 though, so automatically is like a few points shy,
Listen, I did not even realize that you could call Bess in this game. Straight up had no idea. I don't think I've ever called her. in
Oh,
this game.
really?
No, I have, because I remember, isn't there like some woman who keeps barging in on her phone line?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like the extent of it, though. I think really.
Okay, so I have called her at some point in the past, but I completely forgot, so it's been a long time.
I feel like, I mean, the only other interesting thing that I think about every time I play this game is that the first time I played it, I was so caught up on, like, this was going to be the same story as the Secret of the Old Clock book, in which Nancy gets kidnapped. And so little 10-year-old or 12-year-old me was convinced at some point I was going to get kidnapped in the game. And me and my friend kept talking about the inevitable kidnapping that was going to happen to us. And finally, my mom was like, "Are you okay? Like, is this..."
Mom, I'm
we were
not
just
okay. I'm gonna get
casually-
kidnapped.
We were just casually like, yeah, probably in the next episode I might get kidnapped.
That
Oh,
is
that's so
frightening, though, to
funny.
just be playing the game thinking, "Oh no, I'm gonna get kidnapped."
When's it gonna
Also
happen?
it added like a little bit more of some spooky, terrifying vibes because the whole time, oh god, you're gonna snatch me at some point,
Yeah, I'd imagine
Which-
that would do it.
which did
Yeah.
not happen. But yeah, I always think about how I probably inevitably freaked out my mom for a while.
That's so funny. I love it.
It's kind of like the same ominous feeling of the rallies as being like, oh, well, you know what? It might have a rainstorm.
Right.
Look out for those flash floods. And you're like, oh my god, okay. Psych.
Freaking no storms ever. And they say it on the second day. Sorry. This is for Shadow Ranch Week. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's all. So. Anyway. I hate it when the games like introduce something like that and then they never revisit it. Like, come on.
Deliver.
Anyway.
Fake foreshadowing.
Yes. It's like a tease. But yeah. So, if you guys didn't have anything else to talk about, ...
I think that's it.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then it sounds like we have a podcast. So now it is outro time, our favorite. This has just become a running joke at this point. I don't even care. But I do care that Allison has popped out of chat. Come back.
Oh
There she
Oh,
is.
there she is.
no! Hey!
Just in time for goodbyes. But yeah, so thank you. Thank all three of you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Emily, especially for joining us. It was really fun talking to you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Always a good time. So we're in the home stretch, you guys. We only have 3 games left of the playthrough.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
crazy.
It's
Insane.
crazy.
I can't believe it's been going for this long, honestly. Pretty
Made
wild.
2020 better.
Love you guys.
Yes.
Well, next week we will return with some commentary and discussion on Treasure in the Royal Tower.
Yes.
I know Maddie's excited. A classic indeed. So we
It
will get to
is.
it then. And in the meantime, thank you all one more time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night.
Stay
Yes.
spooky.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
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 I was feeling the jazzy beats.
Man. I might have to save this test recording and pop that in somewhere.
At the end. Bye. I was vibing with those jazzy beats.
Yes.